Easy E, how are we?
Get on, E.
Well, I'm feeling okay. A bit rough away, right? After yesterday, myself and yourself were in town and going to a gig and stuff. And as you do, we just started to take it easy heading into the month of December. And speaking of taking it easy, after abandoning us last week, Rachel, you're back with us this week. And I'm assuming you took it easy and just were unpacking and just settling into life in Australia. So how has your first weekend down under been?
It's been great. Although I'm not sure I'd ever use the word taking it easy in a sentence with my name. So, I'm about 10 days in the country now. It's been absolutely fantastic. But the first day here, we just went down to the beach for a walk around and I just saw this massive yellow sign. Like it was calling my name. 2 times U Triathlon series next weekend. So what should I do? I went and signed up.
But you're already in the country, so where's all the gear and where's all the training and getting acclimatized? Where's that coming from?
Well, we'll get to that in a few minutes because I had my bike with me. As Eric will tell you, I would not trust anyone with my bike, so the bike came on the plane, like obviously in the hold, but yeah, I had my lovely bike box. But the race was obviously a week later, which meant it was yesterday. And wow, I'm just going to say wow for now.
Well, let's get into it. So, Shawnee, play the intro music.
Let's go. With all due respect, Rachel's a podcast. If that just ends with you saying, wow, we've got nothing for the rest of the show, myself and Eric are just going to have to talk about having 1 or 2 points and not being able to cope with anything anymore. As you can tell in my voice right now, I'm in a way unlike you. So apart from wow, Rachel, tell us a little bit more about what's the heat and all like over there? Was it so much of a struggle from there coming to here? Or what was going on?
They've actually had really poor weather.
Oh.
I don't know if you've seen any of the news. There's the wettest November on record in a lot of the states. So it has been quite mixed.
Right up your alley,
we've been lucky. So I'm in Melbourne in Victoria. So we haven't been too bad. But I was going around with the jacket. I had to go out and buy a jacket during the week because all mine are coming in transit. I didn't actually bring any with me. I sent them all via courier. So I had to go out and buy a jacket. It was that cold during the week.
So you brought no clothes with you, just your bike?
The essentials.
A few summer things. Yeah, exactly. The essentials. Bike, running gear. I got new running shoes when I arrived here because mine were on the way out the door anyway. So got a new pair. But yeah, I kind of was a bit worried about the weather, Everyone kept talking about the wet, the cold, how this was not normal. But then it started picking up towards the end of the week. And when I say the weather yesterday morning for the triathlon was completely different to the week, it couldn't have been any different. The water was so glassy. I think I sent you pictures. You can see it on my Instagram. It was as flat and as still. And it was actually warm yesterday, which I was delighted with.
Yeah, it's always good when the sun shines for a triathlon. Anyway, it looked like, obviously, first of all, you've gone to Australia and like a lot of people say in Ireland, if you want to get to know the local area, join the GA team. You'll be in with the locals. So obviously you've gone down the triathlon approach. Was there a big uptake in this series? Is it as big as the national series in Ireland? Is it bigger? Is it just a local to Victoria, or what is it?
It's the 2 times U 2 times U triathlon series. So it is their biggest event on their calendar. The brand, the compression apparel brand 2 times U. This is their big one that they do. And there was probably 1,200 people registered.
Wow.
I think I saw numbers up to 1,200. But they did a fun try, so just a try for fun. They had a kids one that went off before us, and then the sprint. So there was only sprint distance if you weren't doing the kids or the fun try. And then they had all different categories from the women's elite, men's elite, the youth elite, and then open and all the age group categories. But yeah, massive uptake. So I think slightly bigger than what you might see at home.
Here's one for you. When I was looking through the results, I mean, obviously we'll get to the results a bit later. They had a weight class category.
Oh.
What's that all about?
Oh, the Athena.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, but I couldn't tell you any more on it.
So I'll look into it.
I'd have to do a quick Google.
Obviously I'm catching on the hop with that one. But from just looking at the results, there was like male over 90 kilo and then there was male over 70 kilo. So obviously it's kind of deciphering between weight classes as well, which is another step that I haven't seen. But obviously we'll have to look into that and maybe get back onto it.
Is that something you do the weigh-in before that? Like for example, if you're a fighter and you're getting into like the below 70 kilo, you cut down during the week, you probably walk around at 75, 76 kilo and then cut down during the week and all of a sudden you're back in. But surely doing something like a triathlon, that will completely wreck you.
Yeah, I don't.
And I can't imagine big weigh-ins now do a triathlon the next day, like down by the beach. Like what?
I don't know, or maybe it's something that stemmed from the Zwift world where you had to have your weight because your watts per kilo is measured and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. I just seen it and I was quite interested.
I'll just read it out here. So it's Athena for women and Clydesdale for men. And it says the Athena Clydesdale categories are an attempt to equalize competition in non-elite running and multi-sport events between big and small people. For men, Clydesdale is anyone over 200 pounds. And for women, the minimum weight for an Athena division runner is either 140 or 150 pounds. I'm not sure what that is when you convert
it. So 200 pounds is around 90 kilo or 90 plus thereabouts.
Okay.
And then
still not massive.
No. Well,
it
would make a big difference because the likes of me now at 95 kilos at the minute, but like I had to get down to in June when I was running my quickest, I was 82.5 kilo, which was a little bit disgusting. It's not a comfortable weight for me. Like I find now is actually more and more natural weight that I walk around and like I don't really go up from this point. This is a more natural one without training. But for me to be able to eat a lot and train a lot and be over 90 kilo and have my own category would really I think it would make a difference because it's a lot harder to compete with your 60, 70, 75 kilo runner over a long distance.
Yeah, it makes sense if you're comfortable enough with that. Obviously, weight is an issue for some people and they wouldn't want to be categorized by the weight. But if you were doing it for the serious competition and you did want to compete in a fair field, it might make a bit of sense. Like Zwift does it where, you put in your weight and then it automatically adjusts everything with this thing called your FTP. So, or your based on your watts per kilo. So it kind of levels out the playing field anyway, but you don't get that in real life.
Yeah. So that's why like if someone wanted to go on the strength route, they wanted to keep a good muscle mass, but still had an interest in triathlon, they could still be the higher weight, especially if they're taller and bigger. It's a nice added option. It is a nice added option. It kind of breaks down the cardio versus weights kind of element of it. It's like you can still lift big and be bigger, but you have your own weight class. So yeah, it's just interesting. I've never seen it before, and it was just interesting to see. Really, really good. So you went to Australia with your bike and your helmet, a pair of socks, and a change of runners, and that's all you brought in the plane. And then you get there and decide, well, here's a triathlon series I'm going to do. You show up and you finish second.
Yeah, that pretty much sums it up.
That is disgusting.
I don't know if it's just my end, but there was literally a pause at that end of that sentence. I actually didn't hear where you finished. Second.
Finished second.
Jeez. That is disgusting.
That is disgusting. Absolutely. Rachel, talk us through the race.
Wow.
Okay, well, first of all, I know our listeners can't see it, but what do you think of my medal?
Oh, look at that.
Unbelievable.
Very good. Oh, it actually engraved a place on it as well, a silver medal. Very good.
No, it's not specific to my category or anything, but it's still
so
nice silver medal.
Were you first in your category or?
No, I was second in my category. Like I wasn't second overall. No, I was only second in my category. Like
Yeah, but that's
which was still
Only cycling
class.
category.
but that's well, like, let's be honest, it's all about category. You know, like it's that's the important thing these days. It's you're racing against your peers essentially, isn't it?
Yeah, and I did the open category. So I suppose with open, it's not specific. You can be any weight, age, fitness level. Open is just open. So that's the one I signed up to. But let's take a step back now. Before you're talking about me coming to Australia with my bike. Like I said, I didn't have runners. I bought the new runners here. But then my tri-suit and my wetsuit are all coming in my bags, which are being couriered over, and I don't have them yet. So it's kind of like, oh, okay. Need to go and get a few things. Oh, no, go shopping. Oh, don't want to do that. I said no one ever. So I went out and I bought a tri-suit. A lovely 2XU tri-suit, sticking with the theme. And then I messaged the organizers because wetsuit, I was like, I'm not going out and buying a wetsuit when I have a gorgeous one from home. It's coming. It's in transit. But the organizers were like, wetsuits are optional. And I was like, oh, okay. So made the decision that, I'd brave it, I'll go optional. Well, let me tell you, there was not very many mad people out there with no wetsuits on.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
It wasn't cold. Like I kind of got in first and my heart rate just shot up and I was like, oh, this is going to be fun. But once you're in, it was lovely. Like I said, it was about 8:30 in the morning, absolutely glassy. The sun was shining. It was probably up in the high teens at that stage.
This sounds like
a wetsuit would have just been. Maybe we need to change the intro music this week. But yeah.
What was it like in the water? Like, because looking at the video of you getting in Ireland, it seems to be not a slower pace, but it's usually an in the water start, because it's always rocky or so, whatever. But like watching your video of the start, like, I mean, there was 100-meter sprinters into the water. Like, they were going so fast. I was like, oh my God, they are not messing about with this swim. What was it like? Did you find it a bit quicker? Was it easier to be carried along by people, or how did you find it?
Well, the whole start was very nice. Like, they had you obviously in your different categories. So we all had different hats depending on the category we were in. And then when you lined up, it was kind of like what they'd introduced at home, where they're letting you go in maybe 3s, 4s. So you're all in your category, and then someone just sticks out their hand, lifts it up, next 4 people go, then lift the hand again, next 4 people go. But then you just take off for the water. Have you ever seen like a dog when you throw the stick into the water and they're just gone? It was just like that. It was quite shallow for a little bit, so you could kind of run, hop in, stand up again, dive in, stand up again. So we're seeing people going out like maybe 50 meters doing this stand up dive, and then you were just gone. Now, it was sprint distance, but because it was the first triathlon back and because Victoria had been in lockdown for so long, people didn't have access to the pools and things like that. They did shorten the swim. So it was only 550 meters or so. But it was grand. Like I said, no waves, perfectly flat. But what happened to me when I was on the way back, so maybe about 450 meters in, is the category men started catching up to me. And so I found myself caught in a bit of traffic, and they just swim over you. If you're in their way, they are swimming over you, which is terrifying.
I say so, open water.
I would have been kicking extra hard. They can swim over you if they want, but they're getting a broken nose for their trouble.
I'd be standing up and letting them by, just waving them on. Go ahead, if I got that far.
So that was the only thing there was, when they caught up to me, there was a few people that obviously you're in the water, you can't really see, especially if you're swimming with proper technique and you're looking down, which you're supposed to do. You're not really looking around you to see where everyone else is. And when they're coming from behind as well, I'm not going to stop and turn around and be like, oh yeah, right past me. just going to keep going, and you just swim with your elbows out a bit more. You just kick a bit more viciously.
And who says it's a non-contact sport, huh?
Exactly.
So you get out of the water. How'd you find the transitions and stuff? Because like a lot of the cycle even seemed to be, is it a tight course? Is it a looped course, or how was it?
It was flat, dead flat. I love flat. The water was flat. The cycle course was flat. The run course was flat. Like, you got into transition. Transition was massive. But I was lucky. I was like second row from the end. So nice, handy. Had a sticker with my name on it. Again, you probably saw that on Instagram.
Yeah.
Sticker with my name on it. Grabbed my stuff. Had a quick enough transition, but you had to run across just the normal like concrete path to get from the beach into the transition area. So it wasn't too sore on the feet, but little sensitive feet, didn't quite like that. And then, the bike course was 2 10K laps, but they closed off the entire beach road for it. So you have 2, in some parts, 3 lanes across both sides. So you had so much space. But the fact that it was 2 laps, it was grand. You had plenty of space, but the elite races were draft legal, which meant they could all ride in a group. So when I was coming around at the end of my first lap, take off. So at the end of the first lap, you go around the last bend, and then you're maybe 50 meters before you turn in. And I happened to turn that corner as the elite men turned the corner on their last lap. So I'm here stuck in the middle, being like, no, let me out. I need to get out so that I'm not sent into transition early. But aside from that, like, you had so much space. I think there was only one crash as someone was coming out of transition and someone heading out on their second lap collided. But that was about it. Like, you had so much space. You were, on the way out, you were cycling towards the Melbourne skyline with the sea on your left, Melbourne straight in front of you. Just beautiful.
It's an interesting way to see the city.
Oh, it really is. And then you just had people out just cycling.
A little bit nicer than Westport.
Yeah. It was still out and back. So just like Westport was out and back beside the sea, it was just like that, only flatter, nicer weather. Yeah. And just more people. Like, there was people just out cycling and running along beside you who weren't even involved in the event. They were just out for their Sunday morning exercise. So it was great to see that as well.
And then, so you came off the bike. How did you find the Zwift training? Because you kind of kept your training up on Zwift over the last little while with the race series. How did you find you were on the bike? Were you noticing a difference? Were you noticing you still had the same power? Were you feeling comfortable on it? Especially because it's flat. Obviously, a lot of your power was materializing into speed.
Yeah, well, cycling is the only thing I did since Westport. I realised after I signed up for the triathlon during the week that I hadn't actually swam since Westport. Any of you who did Westport know that's 10 weeks ago.
Yeah.
That's an awful long time not to be doing something.
So, panicked into a pool during the week just to make sure I didn't drown. That was fine. But yeah, and the running, I'd done a bit of running since getting here, because obviously I have my bike with me, but I don't have a trainer that's compatible for Zwift or anything like that. But because I had done so much Zwifting over the past few months, it definitely stood to me, because I was just able to hold a nice, consistent speed. Like, I think I averaged 34 kilometers an hour for 20 kilometers, which
is quick.
I was not expecting. Yeah, I was not expecting that. But I just found, like, again, it was dead flat. Like, I can't stress enough. I think I've said flat about 100 times already. I was just able to get into that gear and just hold it and push it. And it was just nice knowing that I had the endurance, because a lot of the Zwift races that I've been doing over the last few months were much longer. Like, we're talking almost 40 kilometers. So to do only half of that was really nice, and meant I could push it that bit more, knowing I didn't have to save it. I didn't need the endurance side.
And how did you find, well, obviously, as you said, it was 10 weeks since a swim and a run, but You were disappointed in Westport with your last run. How did you find getting off the bike this time? Were you nervous for it? Were you a bit apprehensive?
Not as much as Westport. So Westport just, with the way things were in the lead up to it, I ended up not running for 2 weeks beforehand. With this one, though, I've mainly ran in the last week since getting here. And even the week before getting here, because I packed up my bike to go, I was doing a bit of running as well. So definitely a bit more running leading into this one. And I just made the decision that I wasn't going to look at my watch. I just said, look, I'm just going to go. I'm going to make sure I feel comfortable. I'm going to smile. I'm going to enjoy it. And yeah, I was shocked. Couldn't believe how well that had gone. And
just for context for anyone listening, like I smile at a nice 30-minute 5K. Sean might crack a smile at a 28-minute 5K, because he's just grumpy and never smiles. But
true.
Rachael didn't look at her watch and was smiling at a 1945 or a 1935K?
Yeah, I think it was 1945. It was
yeah. So
3:57 per kilometer.
Rachel's there cracking smiles, rubbing a sub 25K after she went on a few leisurely jogs with the dog before she went to Australia.
That's insane.
I could not believe it. Like, I thought maybe 4:15, 4:20. Like, I was very comfortable. And it was just insane.
It just shows I suppose, you were feeling like it's a 4:20. Part of the problem with a sub 25K is the mental challenge of it as well. I suppose if you didn't look at your watch and just went for it. And then when you're feeling good in a race and when a lot of it is new to you, you're in Australia, there's a lot of it kind of points back to the mental side of the race as well. That you were just there to enjoy it. And once you're feeling that positivity and feeling like you're enjoying it, you're just cruising. And at a pace that would put some of us into hospital. It was it does show that when you have your ability, that when you're feeling good, and even I suppose that's why sports psychologists are making a fortune now these days is the mental aspect of the run. And when you go easy on yourself, you've put in an amazing run after an amazing cycle and a great swim as well. So all in all, a really quick sprint. So you finished in second in your age category, which is another point I'd like to highlight for Australia. There was an over 70 category.
Oh yeah, you just don't stop out here. Like, you have the weather, you've no excuse not to be active out here.
And there's some 70-year-olds putting in better times than some of the 30-year-olds in the open race as well. I just like to highlight. So it's definitely a different attitude to sport out there.
Yeah, and just going back to what you were saying about just the whole mental side of things and just enjoying it. I was just loving being out on that course. And it's, I think in Westport, one of my teammates ran by me and I was just, my only thing I said to him was, I hate running. And then it was just so different to yesterday. I had no expectations on myself. I was just so happy to be there, so happy to be out, enjoying it, fabulous weather. So many people. Again, we were running down the beach path for the run leg, and you just had so many people out walking and running who weren't part of the event at all. And just seeing everyone out, just enjoying exercise and being a part of that was amazing.
It makes a big difference.
It does. You're going to love this, right? Home is never too far away, is it? I'm running down. I'm maybe 3 kilometers in, and I'm running up to this guy, and next thing I see an Irish flag. I was like, oh, okay. And then I get a bit closer and I can see the writing. It says Galway Triathlon Club. So I shouted at him. I was like, are you Irish, or do you just like the flag? But I don't think he really heard me. He didn't really say anything. So continued anyway. And then at the finish line, I saw him come in. So I went over to him. So I'd like to give a shout out to Stephen from Sligo, who moved to Melbourne 4 months ago.
Good man, Stephen.
Fair play, Stephen.
Yeah.
We'd just like to highlight, though, Stephen, that Rachael passed you out
It's like to highlight that she's shouting at people while running the sub 5K 20.
Stephen. Yeah. How inadequate does Stephen feel listening to this for the first time? Do you want to? We should tag his family in it just to disgrace him even more. No, fair play, Stephen.
No.
Doing a great run.
In fairness to Stephen, had Rachel done her swim, her cycle, and when she started that 5K, I started beside her, she would have left me for dust, and I would have had to walk and just that. So I ain't saying nothing about Stephen on that one. I'm just more surprised you're shouting at people with a smile on your face while running that fast, because I'd be huffing and puffing him.
We'll give this a chance, Stephen. Finish the story, Rach.
It's just seeing someone from Ireland who was just, again, you can't escape the Irish. We just seem to be everywhere. But again, just out, just enjoying the atmosphere, just taking in the day. But his one comment was, he was like, I've never seen a transition area this big, which was absolutely true. Just that amount of people, as you said, up to over 70 years of age. Right down from like the little kiddies. You should have seen some of the cute little bikes. I'm pretty sure some of the kids' bikes had the streamers out the handlebars and everything.
Very good.
Yeah,
but it is
great
that
fun.
they're encouraging them at such a young age as well. And look, the weather does make a big difference. Like it's going to be hard push to convince any 4-year-old to go swimming now in December in Ireland. Like it is amazing the difference that the bit of weather makes and the facilities. It's brilliant. It is brilliant, and we're jealous that you're getting to take advantage of it. But as you said, this is a series. So when's the next one?
2 weeks' time.
Whoa.
2 weeks' time. So what's the plan? So how are you going to attack this, or what's going on in Rachel's head of how are you going to train in between? Because obviously you're straight into a series, so you're kind of just starting your pre-season training during the series. So how are you going to manage that, or what's the plan? What are you thinking?
Might just wing it like I usually do.
Yeah.
No, I'm definitely going to get into a pool a bit more. So there's a pool just down the road, 50 meters, beautiful facility. So I'll probably try and get in there a few times in the week. And then Melbourne is not actually the best spot for cycling. Kind of the traffic lights. Don't get me started on traffic lights. You're going a couple of 100 meters, you're stopped again, like the whole way down. It's frustrating. And it's just, the traffic here is insane. But I think the city itself has a population the size of Ireland. So like you can imagine the whole of Ireland condensed into a city. It's bound to lead to some congestion. And so I think I'll need to find some routes. Like I said, I'm only here 10 days. Haven't really figured out the cycle routes or anything yet. So I think that'll be my plan over the next 2 weeks. Just find a few more nice places to cycle. And then like running is insane. Like you have no shortage of places to run. So definitely do a lot of running over the next few weeks and see if I can improve on that.
That is
very
class,
good.
Rachel.
And is the series just in Melbourne? Are you going to do a bit of traveling with it? Is it the same location every week, or what way is the setup working for you, or what's the plan?
It's all in Melbourne. It's all on that beach road. So you just kind of hop up and down the beach. So it's actually in Brighton, and not Brighton, UK, but Brighton, Victoria next week, which is maybe 5 kilometers further down the road from where it was today, yesterday.
So you're guaranteed a relatively flat triathlon now for the next little while anyway.
I think the 6 there's 6 races in total between now and March. And I think they're over 3 locations, which are all within a 10 kilometers of each other. So all on the same flat beach road.
Oh, very good. Well, at least you know the course now. You know what you're training for. You've pretty much got similar measurables that you can see the improvements. You'll bring something from each race into the next one and really get a stakehold into it. So in terms of the series in the open category, you're in your age group, you've now got a second. So are you feeling the pressure now that you need to perform in the next one, or are you just going to enjoy it?
No, because if I start feeling the pressure, the enjoyment will go down. And I think if I am enjoying it, I'll perform better. Try and keep that smile on my face.
I'm sure if you had a bigger smile, you would have come in 18 minutes. I'm gonna try that the next time. I'm just gonna be grinning like an idiot when I'm running around. But very good. It's nice to hear. I'm very jealous to see the photographs. It is a direct contrast when you're thinking about going for a run in the evening and it's dropping down to 2 or 3 degrees and hats are on. We went to a show, so in comparison, me and Sean went to the orchestra yesterday, so that's as good as we literally sat there for 2 hours and watched people work hard, which it's kind of like this podcast. We've just sat here and listened to you about you working hard for the last 30 minutes, but it was that cold and being follically challenged, I actually had to run into a shop and buy a hat because it was just too cold to walk around. So that's what you're missing from here. So I can just imagine it's just nice to be in the outdoors and the sunshine, getting some runs in, and we're looking forward to see what comes next.
Yeah, I'm kind of just excited. I just timed my arrival here perfect because the day I arrived, they just came out of lockdown, so most of the restrictions lifted, so things like this event are able to go ahead now. So I could not have timed my arrival more perfect. So just really excited to continue getting out there and just enjoying the Melbourne sunshine.
On the flip side of that, people are probably listening in now and, like myself and Eric, being jealous that you have triathlon, stuff like that going ahead. And over here, December is literally around the corner and people are going to be thinking, I'm not going to do anything with fitness and stuff. I'm just going to let that rest until the end of the month and then start again in January. And myself and Eric talked before, the longer you don't do your training, your running, your cycling, or whatever it is, even at any sort of pace, people go back into it the 1st January and you hear the gyms and all the rest, like new year, new you, and everything else that goes with it. And people just go hell for leather right back at it and do too much too soon, either get an injury or they're not smiling doing their runs. They're huffing and puffing. They're like just giving up and quitting and like, nah, I'm done with that. And we did something similar on the podcast last year about this, but we've decided this year to do a Strava kind of challenge just to keep people motivated. And the idea behind the challenge is not the fastest, it's not who does the most runs, not to the furthest distance. It's the 12 sessions of Christmas, we're calling it. And the reason behind it is that if you get out for just 20 minutes every second day, that fitness is not just about winning races. Those some of us can come second in our category in different countries, and fair play, Rachael, on that one. But it's literally just getting out there and doing a little bit and realizing that fitness and running and cycling, because we have people signed up to any given training day program and stuff. It's not just I want to lose weight or I have this mad, unbelievable, achievable goal. It's just literally just I want to feel better. I just want to move more. I want to be more energetic. I want to have less stress in my life. And just December for a lot of people can be a very, very stressful month. And even just spending 20 minutes to yourself, not thinking about, job deadlines or Christmas shopping or how you're going to have so many people over. Are you able to have so many people over and all these other stresses are coming in now? It's just literally 20 minutes to yourself, walk, run, cycle, whatever you can do just to do a bit for yourself. And even 20 minutes every second day will take you to the 12 sessions to Christmas and finish like literally just before Christmas, just to have that little goal to get up and keep moving. We'll have more details in that in the podcast notes as well, and how you can sign up, or even if you haven't got Strava, we'll have other ways on our Instagram post and how you can take part in that as well.
Yeah, it's just something good to get us out. Sorry, Rach.
It's so true. And I was just going to say, like, if you stop, it's so much harder to get back into it. And like your 20 minutes, even if it's just a home workout, like we all got so good at those over lockdown, just anything to keep your body moving, keep you feeling good, and use it as a way of, taking time for you over the Christmas period as well. This is time that you set aside for yourself, because especially people who maybe have little kiddos who are all excited for Santa, things like that, the focus can be really on them. And then if you're cooking the Christmas dinner for your family or whatever it is, it can be hard to put the focus back on you. So taking that 20 minutes every second day can just be so good for feeling good, just mentally, the whole works. So yeah, definitely join this challenge.
Yeah, it's all about balance as well with this. That's why it's 20 minutes. You'd be surprised at how much you can maintain with as little as 20 minutes, or how much you can get out of just 20 minutes rather than thinking about PBs and bursting yourself in the gym, or doing literally nothing at all for the next 5-6 weeks and going back to just absolute hell, starting from beyond zero and trying to push from there. And that's when people are more likely to give up. We've seen all the stats that New Year's resolutions, they last 2-3 weeks. And it's because people have done so little for quite a while, and they come back and they just aim to do way too much because they had that motivation for a week to do, like, this is going to be the year I do this, 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 and this. And after 2-3 weeks, that motivation goes and they've absolutely crushed themselves. It's very hard to keep pushing on those days and those dark days, January.
Yeah, January is a bad one. It's a catch-22 because you're a bit down. You've come off a high. So for me, every year December is when I actually start back into it, and it's been one of the better things. I find being a little bit fitter at Christmas is really nice. There's a want to exercise, of loads of energy to do everything, and that I can continue on into the new year then with a good foundation. So for those who are looking into taking part in this, think of it as laying the foundations for January, and a good start and a good routine, and building consistency around just training. Don't put yourself under pressure. Don't be forcing yourself or forcing exercises. Just get them in when it happens. And 20 minutes is not a long time, but it is a great amount of time in terms of just getting the body active. And it's something that can be done. Everyone can find 20 minutes. Just put the Instagram down and put on the shoes and get out there for 20 minutes.
100%. With that said, guys, unless there's anything else I have to add to this podcast, I think we'll wrap this one up. And
next week, when Rachael's specials is coming back, Shawnee.
That's right, Rachael. We've got a Women in Sports series. Rachael will be back next week doing another interview. We won't say too much about that right now. We'll build a suspense towards that one.
And I want to make Sligo.
Looking forward to next week's episode. Great guests coming on, kind of taking it away from the running triathlon world. So stay tuned for that one.
And on that note, that's it for myself, Rachael, and Eric. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.